Join ForumIAS Academy, trusted by hundreds of toppers, including IAS Rank 1 Shruti Sharma.
Hello friends, this is Vijay. Welcome to ForumIAS Hindu Daily. In our today's news discussion, we are going to discuss the 5 articles in the display. The first one is about the 2 judgments and the principle of accountability. Then the second one is about the LIBOR, so London Interbank Offered Rate. Then the third one, it is about the hysterectomy and the related issues in the Indian context. Then the fourth one, it is all about the carbon border tax. So EU imposed carbon border tax, and here we will be discussing the related impact on Indian business. Then the last one, it is about the climate related statement which was made by the UN. UN clearly stated that within the next 5 years, we are going to breach the threshold level temperature. So these are the 5 topics we are going to discuss today, and the significance for each and every topic had been given here. Kindly make a note out of it. Now without any delay, let us dive into the discussion part. And this is the first article. It came in the editorial section. So the author is M.R. Madhavan. He is working with the PRS Legislative Research. And here he have been discussing about the 2 cases. So the one is with respect to Delhi government, and the another one is with respect to the Maharashtra government. In Maharashtra, you all well know, the Shiv Sena party, the defection had happened, and one group actually they joined with the BJP. So the defection is all about it. And here with respect to Delhi, the case was in the apex court, and it was related to the power over the civil servants. And in both cases, the Supreme Court, they announced its judgments, and it came in the recent time. So here with respect to the Maharashtra government, with respect to the Maharashtra case, the apex court clearly stated that the political party is having the overwhelming power. So if there is any defection means, there will be 2 parties, okay? One will be a political party which is composed of the political leaders and the cadres, and the another one will be legislative party. So in legislative party, the MPs and the MLAs and all will be there, okay? So these are all the 2 parties it will be there. And with respect to the Maharashtra government, the real power is vested with the political party, and the legislative party, they don't have any commanding power like that, the court have been stating. But with respect to the Delhi, it actually stated that the legislative party is the commanding power, because here the court stated that they are the one elected by the mandate of the people. So we need to respect the mandate given by the electorate. That's what we are announcing, that the legislative party is having the commanding power with respect to the Delhi, and they are the one having power to transfer the civil servants like that, they have been stating. So these 2 judgments are contradicting. So this is what it have been discussed here. And here in this article, the author, he also discussed about the 10th schedule. So you all well known about the 10th schedule. It came into the existence in the year of 1985 through the 51st Constitution Amendment Act. Here in this discussion, we will be discussing about the 10th schedule later. And here, he have been stating that the political party, so those who are making a defection, actually they are violating the principles of the party command, right? So with respect to the 10th schedule, here he have been stating that we need to fix the accountability only with the electorate, not with the people. Not with the party. So this is what it have been discussing here. Let us take some example. In your constituency, a person or a candidate, they might be giving you some promises, like they will construct some water tank, right? So the person X who is nominating in your constituency, he is giving some promise that he will be constructing the water tank. And after coming to power, if he is not constructing the water tank, or if the party is not sanctioning the amount, means he doesn't have any right to defect the party as per the 10th schedule. That's what he have been discussing. The author have been discussing that we need to bring some changes in the 10th schedule, that the loyalty of the party should be lifted and the loyalty of the people should be inserted. So if the candidate, or if the winning candidate, if he is working against the willing of the people, means then it should be considered as a defection. So this is what it have been discussed in this article. Now, with this note, let us move on to the 10th schedule provisions and what are the issues we are facing in the 10th schedule. What is anti-defection law? The anti-defection law, it punishes the individual members of the parliament, MLAs, for leaving one party for the another. And here in the article, they actually discussed about the time schedule. Here, the court, they actually clearly stated that with respect to the defection cases, we won't take any decision with respect to the anti-defection because the 10th schedule, it clearly states that the Speaker of the Legislative Assembly or the Parliament, Lok Sabha especially, they are only having the power to take the decision on the defection cases. But once the decision was taken by the Speaker, if it comes in front of the court means, then we will be providing the opinion or we will be taking the decisions like that the court had pronounced in both the Maharashtra and the Delhi related cases. So this is also we need to know. And with respect to the defection related cases, the Speaker, he doesn't have any timeline. So unlike in some other constitutional provisions, there will be some timeline, but there is no timeline for the decision to be taken by the Speaker with respect to the anti-defection cases. So this is also we need to know. And the second one, the 51st Amendment Act. It is very important Amendment Act because before 1985, there were a lot of defections from one party to another, and most probably, actually the people who defected from the non-ruling party to the ruling party. So that's what in the year of 1985, the Parliament, through the Constitution Amendment Act, it brought the 10th schedule into the Constitution. Now, let us discuss what are the grounds of disqualification. The first one, if an elected member voluntarily gives up the membership of his political party means, then he can be considered as a defector. So, suppose BJP is providing party ticket to one candidate. So, after getting elected from the constituency, if he is switching back to some other political party means, then it will be considered as a defection. Then the second one, if he votes or abstains from voting in such contrary to any directions issued by the political party or anyone authorized to do so. So here in this case, you all will know in the house, in the floor of the house, the whip of the party will be having overwhelming power. So each and every member, they need to obey the orders from the whip, right? So if any party member, if he is behaving contrary to the direction provided by the whip means, it will be considered as a defection. This is what the second point is saying. Then the third one, as a precondition for his disqualification, his abstention from voting should not be condemned by his party or the authorized person within 15 days of such incident. So this is also one of the main points. Then the fourth one, if any independently elected member, if he joins any political party means, then it will be considered as a defection. So if any member, if he is standing in the constituency without any political support, then he is elected. After getting elected from the constituency, if he is joining any political parties like BJP or Congress or Samajwadi party means, then it will be considered as a defection. Then the last one, if a nominated member joins any political party after the expiry of 6 months. So if a nominated member, if he joins any political party within the time frame of 6 months means, it won't be considered as a defection. So here the UPSC may trap you. So kindly be aware of the fifth point. Now with this note, let us move on to the issues in the defection law. So with the enactment of the anti-defection law, the MPs or MLAs, they have to follow the party directions blindly. Here, in the beginning itself, I explained you. So if a candidate, if he is giving any promise means, any promise to you, and if he is asking some financial allotment for the project from the party head means, if they are not provided in the case, then they can't act against the party direction. So this is what it have been mentioning here. And they are also having no freedom to vote in their judgment. Because in some cases, he may think rationally, and if his party is acting against that rationality means, he can't vote against the party's direction. So this is what it is the first issue. Then the second one, there is no clarity in the law about the time frame for the action of the House chairperson or speaker in the anti-defection cases. This also I explained you. With respect to the 10th schedule, we don't have any time frame. Within that, the speaker or chairperson should take the decision. So if any party member, if any non-ruling party member, if he is joining the ruling party, means in most of the cases, the speaker or the chairperson, they won't take any decision, because obviously the speaker will be from the ruling party. Anyway, the speaker need to act impartial, but he will be showing some tendency or some biasing towards the ruling party. In those cases, there won't be any action against the member who is defecting. Okay, so this is the case number 2. Then the third one, defection also promotes horse trading of the legislators. You all well know, in some cases, if some party is not getting the majority, means then there will be horse trading. The horse trading means each and every party, they will be trying to buy the MPs or MLAs by providing some offers. So this is what the horse trading. So actually it will be working against the mandate of the people. So the third is also one of the biggest issue in the anti-defection law. Then in the 91st Amendment Act, the 1/3 split have been lifted. So right now, if the members are splitted in a 2/3 form, means then it will prevail. So in these times, the members who are getting defected are in the form of 2/3 split. So if the 2/3 of the party members are splitted away, means then the anti-defection law, it won't come into operation. So in Maharashtra case also, 2/3 split it was happened. So it allows the wholesale defection, because prior to the 1985, 1 or 2 members will be defected from their party. They might be defected. Okay. But in these days, the wholesale defection have been happening. So this is the 4th issue of the anti-defection law. Now with this note, let us move on to the next article. Why are financial regulators transitioning from LIBOR? Here in this part, they actually discussed about what is LIBOR, okay, and how LIBOR have been functioning. This is what they have been discussing here, and what was the controversy around it. So the main issues are, there were certain manipulations in the rate and all, it happened in the past. So this is what the countries have been moving from the LIBOR. And do we have an alternate in place? So this is have been discussing here. And here we are going to transition towards the secured overnight financing rate. So some basic things they have been given here. Then how are we responding to the regime change? So here actually the RBI in the 2020 itself, they actually issued statements to the banks and the financial institutions about this transitioning phase. So the deadline is about to come. I think the June 30 is the deadline for the transitioning phase. So this is what it have been given here. And what is LIBOR? LIBOR is it is a benchmark interest rate at which major global banks, they used to lend to one another in the international market, because you will be knowing about the call money market. Call money market is with respect to India. In call money market, most of the banks, they will be borrowing from each other to mismatch the liquidity rate. Okay, if there is any liquidity crunch, means then financial banks or financial institutions and other intermediaries in the financial market, they will be exchanging the liquidity between one another. So in those cases, they will be fixing some rate. So that rate actually it in Indian context, it usually follows the repo rate what the RBI have been given. But with respect to the LIBOR, almost 18 banks, they have been providing some rate. Okay, the average of the 18 banks will be termed as a LIBOR rate. So each and every day, the LIBOR rate will be updated in the 11 a.m. in the morning. So some of the banks like JP Morgan, then UBS, then Royal Bank of Canada, then Standard Chartered. So these are the few important banks who are having a commanding in the say of LIBOR. So with respect to LIBOR, these institutions, these 18 institutions, they will be providing their rate, and their average will be considered as a LIBOR rate. And how does LIBOR work? LIBOR rate, it actually works by the ICE benchmark administration. It was administered by the ICE benchmark administration, which was regulated by the UK's Financial Conduct Authority. And the currencies involved in LIBOR are, these are the 5 major currencies: which involved in the which involved in the determination of labor rate. The first one is US dollar, then the second one is euro, then the third one is British pound, then the fourth one is Japanese yen, then the Swiss franc. Here China's renminbi is not there. Okay. Then why is labor being brought to an end? In the year of 2012, there were certain cases. Okay. There actually these 18 financial institutions, these 18 banks, they colluded among together and they were artificially fixing the rates of the labor. So this was the case. So there were a lot of scandals were also there. So these all issues, it brought down the credibility of the labor. And the second point they had given that the panel bank submissions were alleged to be inaccurate, manipulated to the project market strength. So this is what I told to you. There were a lot of scandals and there were artificial manipulations in the rate. So these are all the things which brought down the credibility of the labor. And what are the alternative reference rates? Right now, the RBI had stated that the institutions which are following the labor rate, they should move towards the SOFR, Secured Overnight Financing Rate. So SOFR, actually it is being widely used as a substitute for labor across the world. So how SOFR have been operating? Actually, most of the countries who are moving from the labor, they are opting SOFR as a alternative solution. Because here in the SOFR, the lending rate and all will be fixed by the average of the overall repo rate which have been happening each and every day. So in each and every day, the RBI like institutions have been, the central banks, and they have been operating in each and every country. So they will be providing their repo rate. And apart from that, some other financial institutions also providing their repo rate. So based on these rates, the SOFR and all will be fixed. So this is what it have been given here. It is seen as a preferable to the labor since it is based on data from observable transactions rather than on the estimated borrowing rates. Then the second point, while the SOFR is becoming the benchmark rate for the dollar denominated derivatives and loans, other countries have sought their own alternative rates such as SONIA and IONIA. These are also the benchmark rates. What is meant by the benchmark rates? These are all the standards. Okay. So these rates and all will be considered as a standard, and against these standards, the banks and other financial institutions will be setting their rate. Like if you are getting the money from the bank as a loan, means those all loans and credits and all will be having some rate, right? It will be having some lending rate. So these all lending rate and all will be fixed by this labor rate. Now with this note, let us move on to the next article. So this is the fourth article. India EU explore ways to resolve the carbon border tax. And the EU India, the Trade and Technology Council, they have been exploring the ways to resolve the carbon border tax issues. And here we should know what is meant by the carbon border tax. The carbon border tax, it is a tax which is imposed on the imported goods to equalize the cost of the carbon emissions between the domestic and foreign producers. Suppose let's take Nestle. Nestle is a company based from Switzerland, and they are actually having an establishment in India, because in India we don't have any stringent regulations over the carbon emission. So that's what they established in India, but their country is in Switzerland, which is in the jurisdiction of Europe. Now Nestle, after their production in India, they are exporting some goods to Europe. Now these goods and all will be taxed because Nestle is a high carbon emitting organization. That's what the goods from the Nestle products and all will be taxed in Europe. So this is the ultimatum of the carbon border tax. So basically they actually came up with this carbon border tax to curtail the emissions in the foreign nations. So according to the carbon border tax, European Union, they believes that it will discourage the production from the high carbon emission process. And here EU's carbon border adjustment mechanism. What is it? The carbon border adjustment mechanism of European Union, it actually having an aim to reduce the greenhouse gas emission by at least 50% by 2030 compared to the 1990 levels. So in the year of 1990, if 1000 tons were emitted, means by 2030, only 450 tons should be emitted. Only 450 tons of CO2 should be emitted. This is what EU's carbon border adjustment mechanism have been stating. Now, what will be the impact on Indian business? So, the impact of carbon border tax, the prices of the Indian made goods and make them less attractive to the buyers, and it could negatively affect the demand. It is basically the carbon border tax, it is a trade related measure. Now, the EU, they will be imposing some additional tax on the imported goods from India in the European Union jurisdiction. Obviously, the cost of the Indian made goods will be very high compared to the peer group. So the second one, the serious threat to the companies with larger greenhouse gas footprints, especially steel and cement. So in India, steel and cement industries, they are contributing to high emissions. So these products, they will be facing stiff competition in the European Union jurisdiction. Then the third one, in a joint statement at the COP27 at Sharm el-Sheikh, the BRICS countries except Russia, they actually stated that this measure as a discriminatory and it have been acting against the CBDR, which means common but differentiated responsibilities. Because according to the CBDR, the wealthy countries, they have been exhausting the quota of the carbon since the historical times, but after independence only, these developing countries have been exhausting the global carbon quota. So this is what they have been stating in the COP27. Therefore, the developing countries, they need to get financial and technological assistance from the developed countries. And here, the CBDR principle, it acknowledges the richer nations have to provide the technological and financial support to the developing and vulnerable nations. But today, the EU, they came up with a carbon border tax, which have been actually increasing the price of the developing country goods. Then, India is the third largest trading partner in the EU. So this tax, it would reduce the demand and it would make Indian goods less appealing to the consumers in the European Union. Then, the car companies with a larger greenhouse gas footprint, they will be facing enormous challenges in the future because obviously this tax, it will escalate the products of these companies in the European Union jurisdiction, and obviously the competitors will be filling the space. So these companies, they need to overhaul the mechanisms what they are following in their production process, and it will take add-on cost on their budget. Then CBAM, it puts the burden of climate action on these developing country players. Rather than providing the financial assistance and the technological assistance, the European Union, in the form of carbon border tax, they actually adding the burden of the developing countries. Now with this note, let us move on to the next article. So this is the last article of the day. The climate threshold likely to be breached in the 5 years. So this is what it have been stated here. So it was a statement made by the UN. UN stated very clearly that the 1.5 degrees Celsius, which was marked by the Paris Climate Agreement. So the vision of the Paris Climate Agreement is to keep the temperature below 1.5 degrees Celsius compared to the industrial times. Okay. So, but here in this statement, they stated very clearly that there is a 2/3 chance is that within the next 5 years, we are going to breach the climate threshold. And apart from that, they also stated that there is a 98% likelihood is that the next 5 years, it is going to be the warmest in the world. And apart from that, right now they stated that as per the WMO, the average surface temperature is 1.15 degrees Celsius. So actually they have been calculating this temperature based on the temperature what it prevailed between 1850 to 1900. Okay, so based on that, they stated that right now we are also going to face the El Nino event, and the developing countries are also emitting excess carbon into the atmosphere. So these all going to furiate the carbon in the atmosphere. That's how we are going to breach the 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold limit. So this is what it had been stated in the UN report. And the news is 1.5 degrees Celsius is likely to be breached in the next 5 years. Next 5 years means within 2027. And here in the IPCC 6, they actually provided some key message to the policymakers. The excess emission from the human activities have risen globally by 1.1 degrees Celsius. So they actually escalated the temperature by 1.1 degrees Celsius above the 1850 to 1900 years. And the second one, current policy action will lead to further temperature rise, because in the current policy action, we don't have any adequate adaptation and mitigation measures. So these have been adding to the bucket and it have been propelling the excess carbon in the atmosphere. Then the third one, at current emission levels, we will deplete the remaining carbon budget. So right now we are having the remaining carbon budget of 500 gigaton. So it will be get depleted by 2050. Then the next one, we need to cut GHG emissions across all sectors urgently within this decade and no later. But it is impossible, because right now we are in a transition phase and we don't know how much time it will take to complete the transition. So with the pace what we are maintaining, to cut the GHG emissions in the next 10 years will be impossible. Then the next point, we have all the solutions. We need to shift to low carbon economic systems. These include widespread electrifications, diversifying energy generations to include more wind, solar and small scale hydropower, deploying more battery powered electric vehicles. Then the last one, conserving and restoring forest while also reducing the tropical deforestation. But in this scenario, right now, the countries who are in the developing phase, they actually have been depleting the tropical forest and they are also opening the green carbon sink. So the atmospheric carbon is going to increase. So these all measures, it will be taking heavy resources, but developing countries, they won't afford to the resource what these measures have been asking. Anyway, it will be very difficult for the countries to do a transition. Then the last one, political commitment, equity are the key to enabling this shift. Political commitment from the developed countries is very important, because they are the one who are having the command over the technology and the financial resources. But they are not interested in cooperating with the developing countries. So it is going to be a tough game for the entire world. So with this note, let us complete our discussion. And now let us move on to the question part. And here is the first question for you. If you travel through the Himalayas, you are likely to see which of the following plants naturally growing there. And this is the first one: oak, rhododendron, then birch, pine, cedar, then yew. These are all the few plants which have been growing in the Himalayan region. But sandalwood is not there. So sandalwood is the wrong one. And sandalwood, it used to grow in the tropical deciduous region. So third option is the wrong one. Answer option A is the right one for the question number 1. And the second question, which of the above flows through the Arunachal Pradesh? Barak River, it have been flowing in all the regions in the northeastern states except the Arunachal Pradesh. So Barak, it won't be the option. So we can eliminate the answer option 1. So if that's the case, means B would be the right answer. And Lohit and Subansiri all are the tributaries of the Brahmaputra. So answer option B is the right one for the question number 2. Then the third one, consider the following statements. Maize can be used only for the production of starch. This is true. Maize can be produced for the production of starch. And the second one, the oil extracted from the maize can be used as a feedstock for the biodiesel. So this is also true. Maize is a second generation petro crop. So the statement 2 is also right. Then the third one, alcoholic beverages can be produced by using maize. Not only maize, barley, hops, even today rice and wheat and all have been using in the production of the alcoholic beverages. So all the 3 options are right. The answer option D is the right one for the question number 3. Now with this note, we arrived at the end of the discussion. Thank you for your patience. Kindly subscribe the ForumIAS page and give the thumbs up. Thank you.